Hello, welcome to Three Mates and a Podcast. A podcast that involves three people, or mates if you will, who discuss things, debate about stuff sometimes, and just chat about whatever. My name is Kaz and I run that podcast as the show's host, with the other two being my friend Jake.
Hiya.
And my boyfriend Albert.
Hello there.
And, from time to time guest stars as well, such as our other friends and stuff. We don't use our voices online, apart from Jake, so all our voices are edited by me, using a text-to-speech software that is linked below alongside the other credits and junk. Now, with that out of the way, how's about we jump into the podcast?
Are we back finally? After what seems like the longest hiatus ever?
It hasn't been that long. Calm down.
Yeah, so let's just not introduce the guest star then?
Oh yeah. Now that Nameless has made an appearance on the podcast, we've had both your partners on.
How about we start by letting him introduce himself? Yeah.
Go ahead, mate.
So, yes. Hi. My name is Nameless. Better known as ThatNamelessOne. I make stuff for people of their characters, or whatever, and speaking of, I'm even the one who made me for the podcast photo, with the rest being done by Jake.
You're also the one who made a certain other piece, which is why we have you here today.
So you guys have already read the title, so you know what we're going to be talking about, so why don't we jump into that?
Why don't you be quiet? I'm the host of this podcast, you two are just the co-hosts. Only kidding, by the way.
It's called Three Mates and a Podcast, not One Mate and a Podcast, so you can't run this show without us.
Moving on, let's talk about the small history behind the infamous AI cover band, the Bokas. So to start, we have to go back to an old video I posted roughly 4 months ago. The video was an AI cover that featured some at the time new AI voice models created by our very own Jake, with art purely drawn by me in MS Paint. There were 2 videos at the time, and they were both called AI Boka, Joseph, Gerardo, and Ruben Sims. Followed by the song name. I had gotten a comment on the second one that, to keep things short, just said, "Hey, why don't you make it so that these 4 are in the band or something and call it along the lines of the Bokas or something so that you can just put it as the Bokas instead of typing all their names out each time." I liked that idea and decided to use the name the Bokas. So I reached out to Nameless, who I didn't know as well back then, and asked if he could make me a little something for this because I heard from Jake that he was great at art, and he said yes. I told him to keep it simple and take his time after explaining stuff about what I wanted. A day later, he got back to me and I used the photo for the next AI cover, and called it the Bokas. I explained in the description about the comment I got and junk, and I've used the Bokas from now on. That's pretty much the story.
That was beautiful, really. It felt like I was listening to one of those band documentaries.
Agreed.
Did I only take a day to get back to you? I thought it was a few at the least.
No, if you go to my channel and check when the first Bokas video was posted compared to the just AI one, it says a day apart. So, anywho, now that I've explained my part, would you care to explain yours, Nameless?
Well, okay then. Yeah, it's cool. I was just talking about this the other day. Is it alright if I just copy and paste my YouTube comment from the other day?
Copy and paste it into what? We're all just talking here, and none of us have phones.
First time on the podcast and he's already breaking the fourth wall.
Sorry. My bad. I forgot. So, let me just explain how the cover photo for the Bokas was made. So I originally just had it as blue line art, uncolored, because I used to find it easier to have line art that wasn't black, until I got to the coloring stage of things. I wanted to take a break because I was tired, but my dumb brain saved it with a white background instead of a PNG by accident, and I never got to finishing it until what I thought was a few days later, but I guess was just the next day. Before that though, I was clearing up space on my phone so I could get a different app for something I needed for a hot second, and I temporarily deleted the art app I used for the line art, not thinking at the time. When I went to reinstall the app, it deleted all the projects I had on it, including the line art, so now all I had was a version with a white background. So I took it into a background remover and it poorly removed the background. I was going to change the color from being blue to black when I began to color it in, but I forgot and realized after finishing that I actually liked how it looked like that, so I changed the text color on the Bokas sign to match the line art color, and it stayed like that permanently. And fun fact, I still have the uncolored line art, and if I can find it, a poster I made to give to my parents when I went to visit them at the time that I eventually showed Kez, who also liked it.
I think I still have it if you don't, so I'll be sure to put it on the screen or something in editing.
I like how each one of us here is an artist. I guess that's one reason we're all friends, because we have that in common.
Nobody said I was your friend, I'm here for the money.
I don't even pay these two blokes. What makes you think you're special?
No, see. The friendship is the payment.
Getting back on track, I actually have a question for you about your art, Nameless, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. I guess we're on the Q&A portion of the podcast. LOL.
So I know you main IBIS Paintex is your art tap, but I was wondering what brush type you use. I like the effect the line art has.
I actually use a certain brush, followed by adding a few filters on it. It's a bit hard to explain, but I could explain it real quick if we still have time.
Go ahead.
So I use the Big Pen Hard as my brush, and I then add the frosted glass normal effect to it, setting the radius and variance at about roughly 3px and 3%, depending on how thick the line art is. Then I save it and apply the Gaussian blur to roughly 3px as well, also depending on the thickness of the line art. I usually wait until after I've colored things in, though, while having the color as a different layer than the line art, because otherwise you end up with wide areas along the color and line art, which I found out the hard way once. And that's pretty much it.
I might have to steal that idea sometime. I wanna see how my art style would look like that. I'll make sure I credit you for the idea though, don't worry.
That's actually pretty cool.
Agreed. So, any last thoughts before we wrap up the episode?
I'm going to Whataburger, yeah, want anything?
Really?
No. I wish. I don't live near one, because they're exclusive to Texas for those who don't know.
Yeah, shame. Where do you live though, if you don't mind me asking?
Wait, don't tell them. Only I know so far, and we can keep it as an inside joke.
Yes, where someone lives is the funniest joke ever.
Ma, sorry boo. I live in Colorado.
Yo. You live in South Park.
So, if you were lucky enough, you could just run into either Bokas or Perry. Because I'm pretty sure they both live in Colorado somewhere too.
You know how big Colorado is and how lucky I'd have to be.
So, wrapping up the podcast?
Yes. Nameless, play us out.
With what? I'm not a musician, I'm an animator that just happens to do art and zero animating.
I'll play your roommate's theme tune remix in editing or something, IDK.